I'm Tom and this is Liam, and today we are going to be explaining to you why the Vikings were successful raiders.
One of the main reasons the Vikings were successful raiders is because of their superior marine technology, especially for shipbuilding and navigation.
From the end of the 8th century AD, Vikings originating from Scandinavia regularly appeared in Great Britain and on the European mainland on raiding expeditions and in their longships.
These Drakkar, or dragon-headed warships, were lightweight yet sea-worthy fighting ships of around 20 metres in length that had a bow at both ends, enabling them to beach and launch in either direction. The ships had a keel that increased stability and steerability, allowing them to travel longer and further.
These ships had the capacity to hold between 40 to 60 men. Their shallow draft of only 1.5 metres also gave the option of sailing or rowing up inland waterways and rivers, allowing them to not only carry out coastal attacks, but also to raid areas deep in the hinterland. They could move without being seen or heard, so they could catch their defenseless victims off guard in surprise attacks.
The Vikings also developed and used a number of different navigation techniques to help them carry out their raids in unfamiliar territory. They used sight of landmarks, bearing circles, sunstones, sunboards, semi-wheels, and even birds to calculate where they were in relation to their destination. The Vikings had highly advanced warfare strategies and very successful raiding skills. They would attack villages or settlements that were located close to or on the water. They would raid mostly churches and monasteries because they were usually filled with treasures or valuable items.
Most Viking warfare was done in small raiding parties. These forces ranged from 2 to 10 longships. The large-scale battles could involve hundreds of ships and usually had thousands of warriors. Viking military tactics succeeded because they were unusual and not like any common battle tactics. The Vikings didn't follow any normal or common warfare rules. They didn't plan battle times or leave sacred sites untouched. They just demolished everything they could.
There were some Vikings who were fiercer than others, called berserkers. Berserkers were known for not wearing any armour or protection and were thirsty for blood.
The Vikings had superior iron production and weapons manufacturing, which gave them greater access to weapons and armour. They used common medieval weaponry, including swords, daggers, knives, maces, axes, spears, and bow and arrows, together with less common weapons such as broad axes, which were previously only used as a farming tool. They used these weapons whilst on land or sea when boarding enemy ships. They would use bows during the first stages of the battle and then go into close-range weapons and hand-to-hand combat. Finally, the Vikings were successful raiders because they had a different system of ideology, ideas, values, and practices. To those of European Christians, that meant raiding was culturally acceptable.
The Vikings believed in mythological worlds and beings, including gods and giants. The mythological world gave them strength in battle and reduced their fear of death.
One of these gods was Odin, the god of both war and death. Vikings believed that half of the heroic warriors who died in battle were taken to his hall of Valhalla. In conclusion, the Vikings were successful raiders because of their superior marine technology, access to weapons and armour, and their cultural beliefs that made raiding acceptable.